It is Saturday night, it is prime time, so of course it's Ant versus Dec. As the TV duo embark on their final series of their famous telly institution, Anthony Gordon, who turns 23 today, locks horns with Declan Rice as Arsenal look to close the gap to Liverpool at the top of the Premier League. And as the Arsenal faithful prepare for their sing-along live with the strains of North London Forever, a few cheeky Geordies are planning their own Saturday night takeaway. They want to smuggle a rare 3 points back to the North East. Arsenal are the only Premier League side with a 100% winning record in 2024. Newcastle are unbeaten in 4 matches. And the last time they met, it was Ant who beat Dec and his pals. And there was more than a dash of controversy about it. Let's bring in the two teams, starting with Arsenal. Make a change from the side that misfired in Porto. David Raya is their goalkeeper, White, Saliba, Gabriel and Kivior the back four, Odegaard, Jorginho and Rice the midfield, with Saka, Havertz and Martinelli in attack. For Newcastle, it's Karius in goal, Trippier, Botman, Schär and Livramento as the back four, Longstaff, Guimaraes and Miley in midfield, Almiron, Isaac and Gordon in attack. Referee's Paul Tierney, the VAR is Peter Banks, and Paul Tierney was in charge for the Palace game here a few weeks ago that Scott and I were at. And the atmosphere wasn't that great, but it started just like this. And they can do whatever they want with their fancy light shows and their extra flags. But this bit was organic, and this is the bit that they should harness. Already this weekend we've seen a twist in the Championship promotion race. Manchester City have beaten Bournemouth, Villa and Forest have provided all the entertainment you'd ever need. Fulham have won at Old Trafford, and tomorrow the first piece of silverware will be handed out to either Virgil van Dijk or Ben Chilwell. Join us from 1:30 as we bring you all the action from Wembley. But we're at the Emirates Stadium in North London, where we have the best seats in the house tonight too. And alongside me for the ride is Scott Minto. And this is better than Saturday night at the movies, isn't it?
Alongside you, Sam, of course it is. I'll tell you what, it's an atmosphere reminiscent. I was saying to Faye about how good it was against Liverpool. This is every bit as good as well, and they've been very much on the front foot in the first few seconds.
And they've won a corner away to our right hand side, and it will be swung in by Declan Rice towards the near post, headed away by Botman, who is back there helping out. It goes back to Rice again, who recycles the ball with a second successive corner at the clock end, away to our right. This is TalkSport. A misty Saturday night, pretty chilly. The temperature's dropped over the last couple of days once again, and the Gooners are in fine voice as they prepare for their second successive corner in the first few minutes at the Emirates Stadium. The ball swung in, right-footed by Rice. It's a little flatter delivery, flick on by Gabriel at the near post, bit of shirt pulling inside the box there. Jorginho gets it back to Saka, who from the edge of the penalty area, just right of the D, elevates the ball far too high and it goes over the top of the crossbar.
Well, I'll tell you what, I don't care whether you play really good football or not, set pieces will always play a part in winning games, especially if things are very tight. And Arsenal, having scored 25 league goals with set pieces, 9 more than anyone else. I mean, it just goes to show how important it is. Great ball in from Declan Rice, lovely flick on. If they do a few more of those, I'm sure they will score again tonight.
Well, set pieces have been so important for Arsenal over the course of the season. They have scored more than any other team in the Premier League this campaign from that sort of method. As Saka comes forward, challenged from the side by Lewis Miley, who wins it, comes out towards the near touchline. Anthony Gordon deep inside his own half of the field, tries to funnel it down the touchline to Livramento, who's got an early whack on this near touchline, and Eddie Howe will go and retrieve the ball, and it'll be a throw in to Newcastle down in front of us. We're in the main stand at the back of the bottom tier. There's still 1 or 2 stragglers starting to arrive away to our left. Jason Tyndall just came out, had a word with Livramento before he took that throw in, and he did waste about 30 seconds in doing so. And look, they got a little bit irritated, didn't they, Arsenal, in midweek, as they win the ball back off Botman away to our right hand. In fact, it's Schär on our right hand side. They got a little bit irritated in midweek because that victory in Porto It was a bit of a Newcastle blueprint, really, wasn't it? They didn't let Arsenal get into a rhythm. They constantly broke up play, took their time over set pieces and throw-ins, disrupted the flow of the game. And Newcastle, as we know, are no strangers to that.
No, absolutely. And look, Sergio Conceição, if you know exactly what he's about, that's what his Porto teams do, especially if they're up against teams that are better than them. And yeah, absolutely, that's what Newcastle have done. I'll give Tino Livramento the benefit of the doubt there, because it did look like he had a bit of a niggle, but I wouldn't be surprised if it happens from here to the end of the game, especially while it's 0-0.
It is 0-0 and the ball is on halfway, and Sean Longstaff is complaining to Paul Tierney that he should have had a free kick the other way. It's gone against him. The VAR, by the way, Peter Banks tonight. Arsenal's Premier League form since the turn of the year has been serene. Newcastle's has been solid. The blip for Arsenal and Porto has to be a one-off if they don't want to see their season derail. 4 minutes on the clock. Already today, Manchester City have won down in Bournemouth. And in Newcastle's zone, Manchester United have dropped points today, which will encourage them. Here is Kibior, left side, over halfway, about 10 yards inside opposition territory. He pushes the ball back into the middle of the park where it's collected by Havertz, who tried to swirl it out towards this near side, and it goes straight to Anthony Gordon, and it's recycled, goes back into midfield where Botman gives it to Cher, just short of halfway. Newcastle in possession now, and Botman, who's been so important for Newcastle this season, they really missed him when he had that knee injury. How he came back from that so quickly, I don't know. Apparently it was an ACL, but he managed to come back in about 45 days, which is ludicrous, really. Here's Havertz dropping deep to pick the ball up just left of the centre circle. Plays it square and finds Jorginho to Ødegaard, the captain, who just shuffles it out towards the near touchline. Further up the pitch on the right hand side is Ben White, who scoops it over the top looking for the run of Saka, away by Livramento, as well positioned. And then Bruno Guimaraes drops in, plays it against the Norwegian Ødegaard. It's out for a throw in the left full-back position, 0-0.
Well, I think we've just seen why Livramento is left back instead of Dan Burn. Dan Burn has done incredibly well for Newcastle, but not the most mobile. And that little dink over the top where Livramento was able to just drop back and head it away. I'm not quite sure Dan Burn would have been able to do something similar.
Bayern Munich have got a 91st minute winner against RB Leipzig in the Bundesliga. It has finished. I'll give you a guess. Who scored the goal?
Brilliant. Is it Harry Kane?
Absolutely. 2 goals tonight for him, as he continues to prove what a stellar striker he is wherever he plays. I just wonder whether or not that title race is finished yet. We're in February, remember. 6 minutes gone, 0-0 here. Trippier can't scurry back because as the kick goes out from Karras, it comes straight back down the left-hand side towards Martinelli. Havertz has got it 5 yards outside the box, works it to the left, and Martinelli takes over. Cuts in, stops, rolls it back, then decides to cross into the area looking for Havertz, headed away by Botman, bounces inside the box once again, and then it's sent back towards Ødegaard, who's looking for room to make a shot. Instead he tries to play it out wide to Martinelli, well read by Trippier, who stepped in, funneled the ball infield, and now Almiron is trying to escape. He's brought down by Ødegaard, and that's a yellow card. I mean, it was quite a robust challenge from the Arsenal captain. I think he was frustrated that he'd given the ball away just moments beforehand, went back to try and sort of do something about it, completely mistimed his challenge and chopped his legs away.
No, you're spot on. The fact that he gave the ball away, I think he realised, it's a simple pass that I should have found my man, and in the end he wasn't going to get there. So again, there's a typical attacking midfielder's tackle, shall we say, and deserved yellow card.
Livramento trying to keep it in on this near touchline. Arsenal have won the last 5 Premier League games. They've scored a mounting of goals in the process, 21. It's 4.2 per game. But on Wednesday night it was a very different story, wasn't it? You know, the first match since January 2022 in which they have failed to register a shot on target.
Yeah, I think they almost got caught up with exactly what Porto do. You just mentioned what they do, and they're going to come up against something similar. But in the Premier League, you get the feeling they can deal with it. As I say, Porto under Sergio Conceição, very European savvy. Just need to be careful of that. I do fancy them in the second leg, though.
Martinelli scurrying down the left-hand side. Whoa, what's happened here? He sent the ball out of play over on the far side, I think he did.
Yeah.
He looked so he certainly wasn't in a offside position. Oh my word, that was very tight. Who called that? We've seen a replay of it. Martinelli was running down the left-hand side. The ball just seemed to be kept in by the Brazilian. Not so, says the referee and the linesman. Here's Declan Rice into Saka inside the area, takes one touch to set himself, and a little deflection takes it wide to the goalkeeper's left, and Karius springs out and makes a save. He looks the same, Karius, just as you would imagine him. He looks like he could be walking a catwalk in Milan or London Fashion Week. His hair tied back in a small ponytail. He looks like an extra from the Thor movies. But he's hardly played any football over the course of the last few years, and he will be tested tonight, there's no doubt about it. And Eddie Howe was saying, actually, before the game, he's played some behind closed doors friendlies, but that's no substitute for playing in the Premier League.
Absolutely, it's not the same at all. That's where the mind games come in. When you're playing in training games, you don't even really think about it, but when you know you're going to be playing, I just want to know when he was actually told that he would definitely start. There's no doubt about it. You had a little bit of a battle with your mind, and you might well be mentally strong. You say, do you know what, this is exactly what I want. Or you might be thinking, oh, it's been a long time since I've played in front of 60,000 with the pressure on in front of the TV cameras.
And towards Isaac, the ball is cleared by Newcastle, but he gives it away. Then Ødegaard does the same, and the ball runs loose inside the Newcastle half. Newcastle black and white striped jerseys, black shorts and black socks, attacking the North Bank away to our left-hand side in the first half, and Arsenal in their traditional red-bodied jerseys with white sleeves. And Trippier gives the ball away to Declan Rice. It's picked up by Ødegaard. He tries to flip it through down the left channel for the on-rushing Havertz, but it's too heavy. And Arsenal just a little bit guilty, Scott, of just rushing things in the early part of the game. 10 minutes gone 0-0.
Yeah, I think they are. I think, and after what happened in Porto midweek, perhaps they didn't really go for it. They were quite happy. It was an amazing quote, wasn't it, from Conceição, saying one team came to play, the other team came to win. I thought that was absolutely brilliant. Now they're trying to be on the attack.
Here's Declan Rice out of the area, bursting into the box, right for his shot, right down the throat of the goalkeeper, who punches it away, and it goes out on this near side. Newcastle have given it away far too often in the opening few minutes of this match. 0-0 the score so far, but it's been all Arsenal who come down the right again. Saka is the intended target, but he had just wandered offside on this occasion, and in a right wing position he is penalised, and it's a free kick for Newcastle United, and they'll do their best just to slow things down and just take the temperature a little bit here.
Absolutely, and Livramento's got such a job on his hands. Any left back that comes up against Bukayo Saka has a great job, because he can get the ball to feet, and it actually can go both ways. Although he's obviously very left-footed, he can come inside, but he can also go outside. But what he also does, which is very clever, he makes the runs in behind the fullback, so he starts from wide to go in, so it's very difficult to look at the ball, look at the man, and keep on turning your head all the time. So there's no doubt about it, Livramento's been put in for his mobility and his pace, but Sven Botman would be absolutely key to come round and try and cover for him all the time, because Saka makes those really clever runs.
Do you think it's easier for Livramento to take on someone like Saka, who does like to come in on his left foot, because he is right-footed himself, Livramento? So he's comfortable on that side.
You would think. I mean, if he does, and as I say...
Raya almost got caught by the press from Isaac. They've always shuffled out to the left-hand side, and Kivior eventually, helped by Jorginho, manages to get it clear.
It's a really good question, because people say, full back's the same, right back, left back, doesn't really matter, but it's very different, because your body shape is different. If you want to used to showing down the line, you have to show the other way. So yes, showing inside, if Saka does come inside, then he should be used to that, but you don't really want Saka coming inside onto his left foot and the goal opening up.
Here is Declan Rice probing down the left inside channel. He knocks it out towards Martinelli, who then centres the ball onto Jorginho. He curls it into the box. It's headed away, well, it's actually thrusted away by Botman, then comes back into the box away by Cher, and prodded back by Jorginho, headed into the air by Gordon, and then loose in midfield for Ben White to win it. Jorginho keeps things moving. Goes back to Gabriel, then on to Ødegaard, further right. Saka attacking in the right wing position, takes on Livramento, back to the edge of the area. Ødegaard, left-footed, tries to bend it into the box. Half cleared. Isaac can't hold it again, and Jorginho wins it once more. Jorginho sitting at the base of that midfield today. Here is Martinelli, far side, the Arsenal left, on the attack once more, as they have been pretty much since we fired the starting gun here at the Emirates Stadium. It's on to White, who stops the ball in front of Anthony Gordon, who's going to have to help out his teammates tonight. The ball is sent towards the far edge of the box. Martinelli's header is above Trippier, and it goes straight into the arms of Loris Karius. Clear, and Trippier goes down, sticks his hand in the air, delays proceedings and says, I need treatment. He's just felt something at the back of his knee.
Interesting. He's gone down again.
And then got up so he didn't have to get treatment, so he doesn't have to go off the pitch for 30 seconds.
Yeah, just giving it enough time for the physio to look like he's about to come on, but not come on.
That poor physio might pull a hamstring himself getting up and getting back down again.
He's going to do a few doggies tonight, isn't he?
Fourth official is Anthony Taylor, has already come across just to have a word with one or two of the players. Saka just taken off his undergarment? I think he has. Yes, his Under Armour that he was wearing beforehand was irritating him. He's taken that off.
Can he lend it to Faye? She was saying about how cold she was. So yeah.
We'll ask at half time. 13 and a half minutes gone. It is Arsenal 0, Newcastle United 0. Earlier on today, big results in the Premier League. Aston Villa beat Nottingham Forest 4-2. They were 3-0 up, then went to 3-2, and then managed to get a goal to secure it late on. Leon Bailey, start of the hour mark. It was a thrilling match. Brighton scored a late goal against Everton, who had the lead after Brighton were reduced to 10 men. That finished 1-1. Palace beat 10-man Burnley 3-0. Troy Deeney did an interview for TalkSport with Vincent Kompany after that game. Well worth a listen back on our app if you've got the chance. And Fulham scored a stoppage time winner against Manchester United when Manchester United had just equalised after being behind for so long, flooded the box at the other end, went in search of the winner and conceded on the counter-attack. Phil Foden got all 3 points for Manchester City down at the Vitality Stadium. Here it's goalless, and we're on the halfway line with Arsenal. And Jorginho travels over halfway through the centre circle, looks up and wanted a bit more movement from Saka and tells him that. White, Saka, tight to the touchline, midway inside the Newcastle half. He plays the ball infield towards Ødegaard, and it goes all the way back to Saliba. Newcastle have struggled on the road for most of the season, but since Christmas actually they have been better away than they have been at St James's Park. So far, they have yet to be breached here, but they have had to deal with a lot of pressure. Here is Jorginho, 10 yards back from the edge of the penalty area. Turning it into Gabriel, and Arsenal just getting a little bit more patient here as they try to find an opening. Martinelli runs at the Newcastle defence, sends it wide. Kivior back to Martinelli. Stops it in front of Rice, who's on the angle of the penalty area, attacking the goal away to our right. A lot of hush inside the stadium for the first time of the evening. It's been a really good atmosphere inside the Emirates throughout the course of the evening. Here is Jorginho into Martinelli. Lovely little turn, spin, then has to hold the ball up, and he's dispossessed by a combination of Kieran Trippier and Fabian Schär, and it's out towards the far side again. Back they come, Arsenal. Jorginho still inside that final third, and they decide actually retreat is better than trying to force it.
Lovely pass from Jorginho, wasn't it? Martinelli just finding a little bit of space. Newcastle really well organised, playing like a without the ball 4-5-1. And interesting whether it's Botman coming across or whether it's Anthony Gordon dropping in. Whenever the ball comes towards Saka, there's always two people on him.
It's TalkSport. It's Saturday night. And it's Arsenal 0, Newcastle 0. 63% possession so far for Arsenal. That probably doesn't really do it justice. Here's Ødegaard, lovely little turn in the pocket, finds Havertz, who drags it back, feeds Jorginho. He scoops it high into the night sky, looking for the run of Saka in behind the defence. Livramento was alert there. He had two to deal with actually, because White was coming round the back as well, and he nudged it behind the way for a corner to Arsenal.
Well, it's attack versus defence at the moment, isn't it? I don't think Alexander Isak, I can't remember a proper touch that he's had in the whole game so far. Certainly they've not really tested David Raya. It's all Arsenal at the moment, and Newcastle just got to try and hold on, make sure they don't concede.
Here is the corner to be taken by Saka, and he has just placed the ball down, taken a couple of steps down the camber, looked at the back post where there are three red shirts waiting for the delivery, then burst into the centre of the goal. It's in towards that near post, and the flick on is by Gabriel. They can't keep it out, or can they? No, they can't. The watch has gone off. Gabriel celebrates. It's another set-piece goal for Arsenal. Karius went sprawling, made a save. Botman was there trying to hook it off the line, but the goal decision system alerted Paul Tierney, and Gabriel's near-post flick on creates yet another goal for Arsenal. It could go down as a Saka assist, which will be his 50th for Arsenal. But whatever the semantics of the situation, it is Arsenal 1, Newcastle 0.
Well, it should go down as a Saka assist, because that is a wonderful ball in. You have to say it was a really good header, and it was a good save from Loris Karius. It looks like, I think it could be an own goal here, Sam.
It's an own goal. It's an own goal, because the header actually is well saved. It's brilliantly saved by Karius. He pats it back down. I think it's Sven Botman who nudges it over the line. And if he had just left it, Karius was getting there. But it came off Karius from the header. He pushed it away brilliantly. He then got up. But as he did so, Botman was trying to clear. He missed the ball and ended up nudging it off his knee and into the net.
Oh my goodness, that is Keystone Cops, isn't it? And watching it in slow motion. And it's a bit unfair to watch it in slow motion, really, because it's happening really quick. You know you're right on the goal line. You have to do something. And you don't always think very clearly. And look, it's a great header from Gabriel. Wonderful ball from Saka. It's a good save from Karius. But then between the three players, they've managed to somehow get the ball behind the line. Can't put any blame on Karius at all, but whatever you say about it, again, it's another set-piece goal, which is so important when games are tight or you're looking to try and break down a very stubborn defence.
Nicolas Jaubert, who is the set-piece coach at Arsenal, very much the architect of their set-piece routines, has worked wonders. Here's Rice down the left-hand side onto Martinelli, low cross into the near post, and it funnels away by Cher and out to the far side. Own goal, Sven Botman is the now official line from the Premier League.
Do you know what? I think he saved it. It's gone then through Botman's legs. Livramento's kicked it against Botman, and it's come back off him over the line where Karius wasn't able to get back on the right side of the line in the end, but it hit his chest, but it had already gone over, honestly.
Oh, they thought they'd cleared it as well. It's only just over, by the way. Arsenal come again down the left-hand side, leading by a goal to nil. Lead that's been given to them by the own goal from Sven Botman. And they've got trouble here, Newcastle, because they don't really score too many goals at Arsenal's Emirates Stadium. In fact, it's been 9.5 years since they did. Here is Havertz inside the area. Tracking back was Bruno Guimaraes to win a free kick on the edge of the area, and a bit of solace for the Newcastle defence. Just a moment to just calm themselves down. We're getting the replay from the goal decision system in front of us now, which shows just how close it was. Must be half a ball's width over the line, that's all. Martinelli fouls Sean Longstaff. He's not happy about that decision. Fortini gives a free kick just in front of the centre circle. Well, some of Newcastle's players were at the Premier League darts in Newcastle on Thursday night. Eddie Howe said he wasn't bothered as long as they hit the bullseye here. But it has been 3,360 days since they last scored at the Emirates Stadium.
Yeah, and you know what? You can say it's a bit of a weird goal, to a sloppy goal, whatever word you want to use to try and describe it, but they've had 28% possession and not a shot on or off target.
Here down the right-hand side, the ball is into the box by White. Might run loose here for Saka. It's cleared by Longstaff, and still Arsenal continue their onslaught of the Newcastle goal. Saka trying to turn into Havertz, back to Jorginho, swept to the far side. Interception comes from Trippier. The ball breaks to halfway, and it's picked up by Isaac, who then is invited to chase by Longstaff, but there was so much endeavour amongst the Arsenal midfield to get back and win that ball back, to stop Isaac from getting on the end of it, and they had no chance of escaping.
Sam, you just got to give Arsenal so much credit. Obviously, it's only 1-0. The game's far from won at the moment, and you've got to think that Newcastle have the ability to somehow step it up. But at the moment, it's all Arsenal. Newcastle are not able to get hold of the ball, and when they do get the ball, they're being swamped. With and without the ball, Arsenal are dominating Newcastle tonight.
There's an eagerness and a level of endeavour which is difficult for Newcastle to stick with at this moment in time. We've played a quarter of the game and it's 1-0. to Arsenal on TalkSport with Now, and don't forget that with Now you can stream all the Sky Sports action like Wolves against Sheffield United tomorrow, contract free with a Now membership. Search Now Sports. Here on the right side, Saka playing it infield. It's collected by Jorginho, and then Havertz into Ben White, edge of the area, didn't know what to do with it, found himself in a wonderful position, gives it back to Martinelli, he then does shoot, and it goes into the air, and Saka will bring it down still high up the field. Eventually Lewis Miley will crack it away, but Ben White got the ball on the edge of the penalty area and then went, I don't know what to do now.
I'm not going to knock him, I've done that once or twice.
Here's Martinelli running in behind, getting to the byline, pulling it back into the area, and it's tapped home. Kai Havertz is there. A pullback from Martinelli, who got down the right side. He dragged it back to the edge of the 6-yard box. No one watched Havertz, and he popped in, stabbed it home. It's 2-0 Arsenal. This could be a cricket score.
Well, I did say before the game started, I can't see anything other than a reasonably comfortable win, and my goodness me, it's a very, very comfortable performance so far. Really good play from Gabriel Martinelli, coming down the right-hand side, as you say, and still having the ability to take a touch to make sure that it didn't go out, cut the ball back. You know what, whatever you say about Kai Havertz, and I'm not his biggest fan at all, he does have the ability just to get into the right positions at times, and that was a simple finish for him. I mean, it's a 2-0 demolition right now. And I'm not quite sure what Eddie Howe must be thinking at the moment, but they're not even getting hold of the ball, Sam. They're not even attacking. They're not getting into Arsenal's half, let alone trying to test David Raya. This is all Arsenal, and the way it's going at the moment, this could be 5 or 6.
Well, every time the ball's gone up to Isaac or to Gordon or Almiron, it's come straight back again. It's one-sided, it's one-way traffic, it's 2-0 Arsenal. And Kai Havertz with a 7th goal of the campaign. Brilliant from Martinelli. But there's no way that they should have been allowed that to happen, because initially it started with Saka staying alive from a ball which had been half cleared. Miley then smacks it clear, no one gets hold of it for Newcastle, it comes straight back immediately. Martinelli's been allowed to run from one side to the other, no one's really followed him, and with his first touch pulls it back to the edge of the 6-yard box, and Havertz, it was almost like the Newcastle players go, well, where's he come from?
Well, do you know what, Sam? It's the movement of the Arsenal players. You just talked about how Ben White got himself in a shooting position, and he's the right back. You know, he was playing at times in midfield midweek, and he can play in most positions, but clearly he's not a centre forward. But the fact he's able to, it's the movement and the style and the slickness and the way you say it. Absolutely, you can say, well, how's he been allowed to do that? But it's almost like they've got 13, 14 players on the pitch. They play at such pace, both again with and without the ball. They find pockets of space. Martin Odegaard is so intelligent the way that he does it. Kai Havertz, again, not my favourite player, but he's able to drop off. They don't know whether to stick or twist the back four of Newcastle. It's such a difficult team to play against. And we actually didn't touch the fact that, you know, Liverpool beat Luton midweek, the fact that City have ground out another win. This is the must-win game for Arsenal. If it is to be a 3-horse race, they cannot afford to drop any points here at all. It's been a magnificent performance so far.
Well, it looks like they'll be closing the gap to City to 1 point, and Liverpool to 2. Here's Odegaard, he's got the ball back, edge of the area, comes back in towards the 6-yard box, and Havertz doesn't get there because Longstaff threw himself at the ball, and he's turning around to his teammates, Longstaff, and saying, switch on, any chance someone switches on, it's gone out for a corner. Eddie Howe and Jason Tindall look pained.
Well, again, you know, they've got the ball in their own third. They're trying not to just knock it long, because I know every time they've done that, as you say, it's not stuck with Isak. But the way they press Arsenal, it's not just one player, it's 2, 3, 4. There's no options, and then they're trying to force it. Could easily have been 3-0.
Corner, far side, to be taken by Declan Rice. The Arsenal fans on their feet, singing, dancing, and very much enjoying life. In contrast to those Newcastle fans in the far corner. Ball into the box, grabbed by Loris Karius. He's looking for an option. He hasn't got one, so he'll hold on to the ball on this occasion. 27 gone, 2-0 Arsenal. And there were just 5 minutes and 12 seconds between goals 1 and 2. And Newcastle yet to really contribute to the game in a positive sense at all. Here is Sven Botman at the heart of their defence. Certainly the atmosphere is brilliant inside the stadium tonight. Here is Almiron spinning inside the centre circle. Isak wants it played down the side so he can go to foot race with Saliba. Excellent defending by him. Gets across his Swedish forward and sends the ball back into Gabriel, who finds his goalkeeper, who kicks clear. It's the first time really that we've seen anything of Newcastle in an attacking sense.
Best bit of football from Newcastle so far in the game. 1-2 touch play and beat the Arsenal press. One thing you don't try and do though is play the ball in between or in behind Saliba unless there's space to try and do it and someone's got a bit of a 3-4 yard head start. He was never going to get Isak in front of him now.
You're listening to Arsenal against Newcastle. 2-0 to the Gunners on TalkSport with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Enterprise has 450 branches for all your business needs. The ball in towards the back post as Newcastle come on the attack again. Headed away by Ben White and then hooked further clear by Saka. In the middle of the park, Havertz fails to hold on to it. Lost by Longstaff. And then with a real swashbuckling stride and a swagger, Rice breaks from midfield. He runs into Trippier. It breaks out on the far side and goes out for a throw-in.
Better for Newcastle though, just in the last couple of minutes they've been able to keep the ball, try and make 1-2 touch passing, beat that Arsenal press. They've actually got a cross into the box, well done. Now they've got to try and test David Raya.
Arsenal have only conceded 22 goals this season. And the Emirates hasn't always been the most atmospheric stadium. The last time that Scott and I were here for commentary, we did come to the Liverpool game where it was brilliant. But we came here for a Palace game when it was positively hushed. But tonight it is showing its raucous side. And they have responded, the team, on the pitch. They lead by 2 goals to 0. Here's Raya, upfield, over the top of the Newcastle defence, and the goalkeeper Karius goes a very long way to deal with that and does a very good job of doing so. Came right out towards the edge of his penalty area and volleyed it out for a throw. They've taken it quickly. Odegaard to Martinelli, who's been all action from left side to right. And actually, I think Martinelli probably should get more goals than he does. He's only ended up this season so far with 7 goals. He gets into great positions as Newcastle think they've won the ball from Jorginho. Bruno Guimaraes was about to escape, and Jorginho is saying that he was fouled. The free kick has gone in Arsenal's direction.
That is a foul. He's not got the ball. He's got Jorginho, and again, just with it, bringing in Jorginho, it's allowed Declan Rice to get a little bit further forward. I'm not saying that Rice in this particular game has been outstanding, but what it does mean is that Kai Havertz has pushed further forward, and I don't think Kai Havertz helped dominate a game in midfield the way that Declan Rice, Martin Odegaard and then Jorginho coming in as well can.
Jorginho takes the free kick, sends it into Saka. White took a tumble during the course of that attempted break. Saka's got it back on the right side, midway inside Newcastle's half of the field. Plays it to Odegaard, gets it back heel, back to Saka. Saka's cross into the box of Martinelli leaning backwards. Well, it was just a little bit behind him, and he had to sort of stretch his neck back to try and connect with that. But the quality of the creation of that chance was nothing short of sensational. Saka down to Odegaard, he got it back with a little back heel, got to the byline, pulled it back. Martinelli was coming in unmarked, and he just couldn't make it work.
Sam, there were about 5 Newcastle players against Saka and Odegaard, and still with their brilliance and their movement and their awareness were able to get a cross in there, and it was a little bit too high for Martinelli. Clearly he's listened to you, he's wanted to get into the box, he wants to score more goals, but he was unlucky there. And I feel like I'm almost talking, not anti-Newcastle, but almost as if I'm an Arsenal fan. If you're neutral here, this is an unbelievable performance from an Arsenal side that pressure's on. Every time that Liverpool obviously played during the week, City played before them. Now what are you going to do? How are you going to bounce back? Paul Merson talked about, it's really important psychologically if they can play first as many times to put pressure on the other teams. Arsenal are handling it.
That was a foul on Gordon. The referee played the advantage and then sent the ball long. Newcastle, and Wiley went on the chase, and Saliba brings it clear. Newcastle United chasing shadows at this moment in time. Ball is deep inside opposition territory with Arsenal's Jorginho, and he tries to bring it up towards halfway, up towards the left hand side where Kivior was waiting for it. Now hugging the touchline just inside opposition territory is Martinelli. The Arsenal fans get on their feet. Jorginho stays on his feet as he plays the ball forward to Rice, and then Further left it goes to Kivior once again. Someone asking you to stand up there, Scott. You stayed firmly planted in your seat, as have I.
I missed that, were they?
Yeah, they were saying to us, go on, get up, stand up for the Arsenal. Stand up and applaud those goals they've scored so far, that's for sure. And remember, tomorrow we've got live football for you. We've got the Carabao Cup final from 1:30. Here's Martinelli racing down the left, trying to keep the ball in from the byline, and it's tucked behind. It goes out, I think, for a goal kick. It already got behind before Martinelli had got there. It raced away to try and keep it in, but it was always a forlorn task. Arsenal 2, Newcastle 0. The latest odds are available at Betfair, where right now you can get Saka to score at any time at 15-8, Martinelli to score at any time at 23-10, Ødegaard to score at 11-4, and Newcastle to complete a pass. Anything you like. No, joke. Don't forget, Betfair are paying out winning bets at 90 minutes, and 90-minute payout applies to match odds, 90-minute, all markets with a 90 icon, thanks to Betfair, 18+ begambleaware.org. Newcastle were trying to play out the back whilst I was reading that. They got themselves into an awful tangle and gave away a corner. Saka to take it near side. He'll flip it in, left-footed. The spider cam comes swooping down to watch this latest Arsenal set piece, which is worked to Jorginho. He's got all the time in the world to play the ball forward to Ødegaard, who flicks it to the back post with his left foot, arcing it inwards towards the goal, but it's headed away by Cher and then picked up on this near side.
Look, you know, you made a little bit of jest about Arsenal, Newcastle trying to make a pass. They're at the moment they're being absolutely swamped from a brilliant pressing side. Again, with and without the ball, Arsenal are dominating here. Bruno Guimaraes is a quality player. We know he's a quality player. He's not able to get on the ball, and when he does get on the ball, he's giving away passes that end up being a corner. It just goes to show that even he can't handle this at the moment.
Well, Newcastle have been one of the great entertainers of the season. As Havertz goes on the forage once again, they've conceded more goals than the whole of last season already. Here is Jorginho down the left looking for Havertz as he sends the ball into the box, and Martinelli reacts. Nobody else did. I mean, Longstaff just looking at it, Botman just staring at the situation. The ball came off the defender and headed away by Trippier, I think it was, and then when everybody in black and white should have been getting to the second ball to clear it, it was Martinelli who just swooped in and got the shot away. It was well over in the end, but I mean that just highlights the sloppiness of the Newcastle attitude in the opening 35 minutes.
Well, I think also the fact of how dominated they are, they're absolutely stunned, Newcastle, and it's almost like they've got lead boots on right now. You know, Martinelli, we talked about Saka, but Martinelli's he's just superb, not just on the left-hand side, but coming in down the middle or down the right, playing that assist for Kai Havertz as well. They're twinkle toes. And Newcastle running in treacle at the moment.
Well, the last time that Newcastle were this prolific was 1960-61. They have goals in them, but they haven't really got going so far in this game, and their big job at the moment is just to try and stay in it, because at 2-0 there is a chance. 3-0, 4-0, you've got no chance whatsoever, especially against this mob, because at this moment in time they're being swamped, they're being smothered, they're being savaged by Arsenal. Free kick given against Jorginho and Ben White, but once again they were on the hunt looking for the ball as Newcastle were trying desperately to find a way to get out from the back.
I mean, Anthony Gordon did so well, didn't he? He received the ball, he had Ben White, you know, right up him. He had another Jorginho coming in as well. He had to do a brilliant bit of skill just to get out of where he was, and he still hadn't really got outside of his own half. In the end it was a foul, but my goodness, all
word. Rice has pinched the ball from a pass out into Havertz. It goes, picks it up edge of the area after his initial cross was blocked. Martinelli back to Havertz. Havertz trying to get a shot away, overcommitted there, and it's back outside the penalty area, but Newcastle very much on the back foot as Martinelli comes forward down the left hand side, works it onto his right foot on the angle of the penalty area, gives it to Rice, then Jorginho, and they continue to push, to probe, to smother, to intoxicate that Newcastle back line. 2-0. I mean, that was dangerous.
And Newcastle still haven't had a shot either on or off target.
No, they've barely had a look at the David Raya goal, have they? Here is Rice down the left onto Martinelli, racing in behind the defence, gets to the byline, stops it, takes on the defender, sends it into the centre. It's half cleared, picked up by Saka though, edge of the area. He teases his way past 4, challenges it towards the near post, and it's pushed away by Karius. Well, he should never have been able to wriggle out of that gap, Saka. There was too many people trying to stop him. It should just have been like almost impossible to escape, like Fort Knox, but he did it, got the shot away, and Karius had to save.
My goodness me, his first touch wasn't even the best, but he still wriggled past 2, 3, 4 players and got the shot. We've thought about Karius, how he'd perform. I tell you what, he's keeping Newcastle in the game at the moment.
Here is Saka to take the corner, yet another one from this near side. It's corner number 6 for Arsenal. Left-footed into the middle of the 6-yard box. Gabriel is up there again, and this time he doesn't connect with it properly, and it's cleared out towards the far side, where it's taken to safety, relative safety, by Bruno Guimaraes. Back it comes again though, before Arsenal can even think Newcastle are on the back foot once more. Isaac down the right, looking to feed Almiron. The block comes in from Saliba, he sensed the danger. That's the other thing, isn't it? You know, they've done so well. Yes, they've scored a lot of goals this season. Arsenal in games recently, they've scored a lot of goals, but the defence has been brilliant. I mean, those two at the back, Saliba and Gabriel, arguably the best defensive partnership at this moment in time in the Premier League.
Yeah, I find it difficult to argue against that at the moment. In terms of centre-back partnership, one of the very best in Europe.
Here is Bruno Guimaraes at the heart of the Newcastle midfield. He runs past Saka, then gets pushed over by Saka, who thinks he's got the ball. Saka irritated, says to Portier he doesn't think that should have been a free kick, but it definitely was. And Newcastle have a short spell of possession.
Well, we know what happened last year, don't we? When Saliba got injured.
Yeah, I mean, that was the reason, I think, why they ended up... Listen, I'm not saying it's the reason they lost the title, but it's definitely the reason why in certain games they fell away. They had great advantages, they had 2-0 leads in some matches and ended up throwing them away. West Ham comes to mind. I mean, the Southampton game was an absolute disaster.
Absolutely.
The Liverpool game, they were 2-0 in front, and I was at that match. Paul Tierney is coming over to have a word with the physio on the far side. There was an issue involving Bruno Guimaraes. Now, Paul Tierney waved on the physio, and he said, I don't need to come on. Now he's come over, Paul Tierney, to have a word with the physio. Now Anthony Taylor's having a word with him and say, if I tell you to come on, you have to come on.
Does that mean that Bruno Guimaraes has to go off whatever?
Well, he hasn't now, but I think it's just a little warning to Newcastle about their delaying tactics. No cards.
A bit late now.
I was going to say, there's not much point in delaying it now.
Well, at this moment in time, the way this game's going, they're delaying a 4 or 5-0 defeat. Not a way of trying to get back in the game.
They need to somehow find a way of getting rid of the ball, because they can't get out of their own 18-yard box at this moment in time, the way things are going. I mean, literally, they are being pinned. You know, like when sometimes, I don't know if you WWE wrestling, when someone pins them for 3 seconds, they've been pinned for 40 minutes and 58 seconds.
Are you a big fan?
No, I couldn't stand it. My brother was massively into it. I used to watch it all the time, and I was like, you do know it's not real, don't you?
I remember Big Daddy and Giant Haystacks back in the day.
Do you?
Not WWE though.
There it is. It was wrestling though, just in case anyone's wondering, yeah. It's probably best to clarify that. The ball
Thank you for that disclaimer.
Ball cleared by David Raya. Upfield it goes. It's headed away by Botman. One back by Saka. Saka moving the ball infield. It's Jorginho. Now on to Declan Rice, who shunts the ball out towards the far touchline. And then it goes back infield where it's given to Kivior. One-way traffic so far. Arsenal have absolutely poleaxed this Newcastle side. Ødegaard's worked the ball out wide for space for Saka. He's crossed to Declan Rice, who nods it down, and then with his back to goal, it goes from Havertz back into the body of Declan Rice, whose shot is saved, but I think Havertz handballed it in the build-up to it.
But it's just incredible 1-2 touch football from Arsenal, where they've got 10 players back Newcastle. There is no space, and yet Arsenal are still able to find space. And even though they've got someone really close to them, they just lay it off, and it's the ping, 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 players within 3-4 yards, even closer. It's wonderful football to watch, it really is.
Thank God Loris Karius has decided that he can go long now, because they were losing the ball so quickly with him going short. They've had a couple of passes here. Guimaraes plays it out towards the near touchline, and then it's bent round the corner for Almiron, who's in behind the defence here. He chose the goalkeeper, but he just hit the heavy touch as he went to try and take it on. And as a result of that, he missed his opportunity. It was a good opportunity as well for Almiron, and that's what Newcastle have come here for, to get opportunities like that.
Yeah.
He needed to do better with his finish.
The referee's assistant put his flag up at the end of it. That would have been really interesting, because it didn't look from here where we were that he was offside, but he's obviously got a better view of that. Bottom line is Almiron has got to stick the ball in the back of the net, then let VAR sort that out. Wonderful opportunity to try and score.
3 minutes will be added at the end of this first 45. Saka is offside as he's played in by Ødegaard. It's going to be a free kick to Newcastle away to our right hand side, but those are the sort of chances that when you get them you have to take them away from home.
You have to, Sam, and as dominant, and frankly dominant isn't a strong enough word to use the way Arsenal have been over Newcastle in this first half, but if they're to nick one just before half time, 2-1, then suddenly things start to get a little bit nervy.
Absolutely, changes the nature of the game.
We've been there before, haven't we? Remember that first game of the season against Forest, where Arsenal were dominating?
Absolutely.
70 minutes, couple of substitutions, come on, different game.
Isaac trying to get in behind. David Raya comes out, jumps acrobatically into the air, and crossed it out of play. Arsenal can't afford to switch off before half-time here, but Newcastle will do their best to try and take advantage of the situation. Quite a few of the supporters have switched off. They've gone out to go and get their half-time refreshments or go to the little boy or girls' room.
That's it. There'll be a big queue, Sam, at half-time, isn't there? Especially for those foot-long sausages as well. There's always a few of those coming out.
Here is Trippier trying to send the ball over the top, and he's managed to do it, and Almiron is going down the right hand side, and Raya has come out again. Read it, worked his way into the left full-back position and nudged it out towards the far side. He goes out for a throw in level with the edge of the 18-yard box. It's thrown in, given to Almiron. Almiron back to Bruno Guimaraes. And we're just about to hit the 45-minute mark, and Anthony Taylor just confirming that added time that I mentioned to you earlier on of 3 minutes. Here is Anthony Gordon moving infield, giving it to Bruno Guimaraes again, who swings the ball towards the far post. It's headed down by Longstaff. Almiron, Bruno Guimaraes tricks his way to the edge of the box, and what an intervention that was from Gabriel. A really good challenge, which managed to nudge it away from his fellow Brazilian. Goes back to halfway. Newcastle having their best spell just before the break here. Forward it comes again, out to the left. Anthony Gordon looking to try and do some damage down the left-hand side. He's got Miley in the centre. His cross is blocked by Saka. And it will be Gordon who chases back and wins it back after Saka diverts it to halfway.
Yeah, it's been better for Newcastle just in the last minute or so. And as I say, we talk about the atmosphere. We spoke with Faye before the game about how good it is in the Emirates and how good it was against Newcastle. But we also know they can just turn a little bit if things start to get a little bit nervy. And that's why, as great as Arsenal have been, if Newcastle get the next goal, it's going to be interesting to see how the Arsenal players react, and also the Newcastle ones.
Miley up to Gordon. Gordon trying to get away from White, who's just a little bit too eager. Nudges him to the floor and gives away a free kick just short of the halfway line. And it's a big game for Arsenal. They need to make sure they see it through. The Premier League is hotly contested. If you start slipping, the season can unravel very quickly at this crucial stage of the year. They've come into this game with the right attitude. They've got to maintain it. There are just 90 seconds left of added time at the end of the first half. A first half which they have been the only attacking force in. We've seen nothing from Newcastle United. One chance that was offside. That doesn't even go down as a goal attempt as a result of the flag going up. But literally all the football has been played in the half away to our right-hand side. Bruno Guimaraes is short of the centre circle. Under pursuit from Jorginho, nudges it to his right, and then Cher drops it over the top. Trippier is in an offside position apparently, and it goes out of play and away for a free kick opposite us. But that's 2 or 3 times now they've played longer balls over the top, which have just tested Arsenal.
Absolutely. Just gets the ball away from their defence as well. I mean, Kieran Trippier should be looking along the line and should be able to see whether he's offside or not. But yeah, again, just the last couple of minutes, at least they're trying to get into Arsenal's half and almost half threaten to have a shot at David Raya.
David Raya taking his time now over this final clearance of the first half. Jose Perez in December 2014, the last Newcastle player to score on this ground. Some of those travelling down tonight to watch this fixture from Newcastle weren't even born when that happened. There's a couple of the youngsters as Martinelli goes up for a header and Havertz too, and Havertz complaining he was pulled back inside the box as the ball went up towards the edge of the penalty area. I'll tell you what, he's got one hell of a case. They've blown the half-time whistle there, and I'll tell you what, Newcastle are really lucky, because if I'd watched that back as a VAR, I'd have been calling Paul Tierney over to the monitor and saying that last act, I think it was by Fabian Cher, was to pull Havertz to the floor inside the penalty area, and arguably could have been given as a penalty.
Well, Cher and Havertz are having words right now as they're coming off the pitch, and Havertz have gone to the referee, and absolutely, the ball had gone down. He didn't even need to do it, but he definitely grabbed hold of his arm and pulled him down. Could easily have been a penalty.
Well, Arsenal didn't have a shot on target on Wednesday night, but that wasn't going to happen twice in 1 week. Goals from Kai Havertz and an own goal from Sven Botman from yet another set piece separates these two at the break, and Newcastle have got to find a way to try and come from behind in the second half. Actually, they've just got to find a way to get hold of the ball. Arsenal 2, Newcastle 0. Well, it was always going to be difficult for Newcastle. They won up at St James's Park, but they haven't done the double over Arsenal since 1994-95. That was a season that Scott Minto packed his bag and slept across the capital to join Chelsea. FA Cup success was soon to follow. 94, the year of Lisa Loeb and 9 Stories, Searching by China Black, but Scott was probably more interested in a bit of Crystal Waters or Heavy D and the Boys as he toured the dance night spots of the West End.
You're just jealous you weren't with me at the time, son.
Arsenal have quite an outstanding record against Newcastle. They have won 19 of the last 23 meetings before today, and they haven't been breached in 9 of the last 11 contests between the two. Underway at the start of the second half, no changes for either team, with red shirts, white sleeves and white shorts of Arsenal attacking the north bank away to our left-hand side, and the black and white jerseys of Newcastle United with black shorts attacking the goal away to our right, where their fans, most of them have stayed, none of them decided to depart, despite the fact that they might have made that 9 o'clock train if they left straight after the Botman own goal. They've had to have run for it, maybe even got the tube. Here is Kivior down the left-hand side. I'll go through the 2 11s for you in just a second. Gabriel seeing it back to Raya, who is the goalkeeper. His back 4 is White, Saliba, Gabriel and Kivior. Odegaard has been booked, Jorginho and Rice, the midfield 3 with Saka, Havertz and Martinelli in attack, and Saka leading in attack to Martinelli, who's got Havertz through the centre. He's played him through, he's up against the goalkeeper and he's steered it wide. What a great chance. He turns and glances at the assistant because he believed that he might have been offside. Well, the linesman didn't flag, he was through. That was a golden opportunity to make it 3 and kill the game, and he didn't take it.
No, and he was onside as well. Just perfect timing, great run from Saka, lovely ball through to Havertz in the end, and he just scuffs the shot, doesn't he? Goes to the wrong side of the post. And I was waiting to see how Newcastle would react to this at the start of the second half, and they have tried to press Arsenal as much as possible, but Arsenal just too good for them.
What a chance for Kai Havertz to make it a second goal on the night, and a third for Arsenal, which would have really given them a massive chance. Here's Guimaraes in behind the defence, and Isak at the other end now rounds the goalkeeper who's come a long way. He still needs a bit of help because he's gone very wide, and then as he sends the ball back to the edge of the box, the chance disappears. and Arsenal move the ball upfield. But what an opportunity at both ends, both teams having scoring chances inside the first 2.5 minutes of the second half.
Definitely a better intent from Newcastle though. Eddie Howe sort of said, come on, we've got to do a lot better than this. They come up against a fantastic side in great form, but they have to be better going forward, and they are. They're trying. They've got that intent at the start of the second half. It could be a really interesting one.
Karius is the Newcastle goalkeeper. Trippier, Botman, Cher and Livramento the back four. Longstaff, Guimaraes and Miley in midfield with Almiron, Isaac and Gordon as the three-pronged attack. It's Almiron's 200th appearance for Newcastle United. It's Gordon's 23rd birthday today, but he hasn't seen enough of the ball in the opening half of the game. Livramento has picked it off though and fed him down the left-hand side. And now Gordon careers forward, moves up towards the edge of the Arsenal box, cuts in on his right foot and then shoots low towards the goalkeeper's left. And actually, do you know what? It wasn't a great effort, but there was a moment there where Raya didn't completely cleanly handle it, and if it had squirted out of his arms, Isaac was there to put in the pieces.
Do you know what? It wasn't a great effort, but it was an effort at goal, Sam. They didn't have one on or off target in the first half. It's already a lot better. I have to say, Eddie Howe right on the edge of his technical area saying, come on, keep more of this. A lot better for Newcastle to start the second half.
Well, the next goal will dictate the tone of the match. If Newcastle were to get it, Arsenal will feel under the cosh. If Arsenal get it, that should be done and dusted.
The thing is, we've been here before. Again, we talked about the Forest game, and there's been a few games where they've been in absolutely total control, and then there's been a bit of a setback for whatever reason, and after being so dominant, if Newcastle were to get that next goal, I'll tell you what, the fans around here would get very restless.
Here's Livramento, midway inside the Arsenal half of the field, wide on the left. He gives it back toward the halfway line where it's collected by first Botman, then Cher. Out wide right to Trippier. Trippier looks up, plays it infield. The Newcastle captain finds Longstaff. His reverse ball out towards the right-hand side was a little bit ambitious, and then Bruno Guimaraes then bending a ball into the far corner for Anthony Gordon. It's a little bit aimless, but Gordon's got it, and they're on the attack here. They've got two to aim at in the centre, and Gordon's got round the back of the defender, and Jorginho's done just enough to block his attempted cross, and it goes out to the far side. But there's more intent about Newcastle, and they've bared their teeth a couple of times already in this second half. 2-0 to Arsenal.
Well, the Newcastle fans might be thinking, well, why are you starting playing now? You know, where did this come from? Why didn't you start at the beginning of the first half? But better late than never. It actually was a very clever ball from Bruno Guimaraes, who was wanting someone, i.e. Isak, to just gamble. It's a great ball just in behind, but he didn't. And in the end, Anthony Gordon got in it and went past Ben White. It's a lot better from the away side.
Well, that was the new advertising campaign for the train service. Better late than never.
Well, it should have been better late than never. I can't believe 9 o'clock, that was the latest time.
To be fair, it probably wouldn't have been there till 8:30.
I'm not going to say it was cancelled anyway.
Centre circle. Adrian was struggling to get back from Manchester today because his train got cancelled.
I know people who travelled up into London today that their train was cancelled as well.
51 minutes on the clock here. It's Arsenal 2, Newcastle United 0. Free kick inside the centre circle. Trippier drips it forward towards the edge of the box. There's a bit of a bundle on the edge of the box. It runs loose after a header eventually from Saliba, and it's cleared away. There's a Newcastle player down inside the penalty area away to our right hand side, and it is Sven Botman who's gingerly getting back to his feet now as the ball is sent long again for Gordon. And a couple of times towards the end of that first half, the long ball did cause Arsenal a few problems down the sides. Botman's back trotting into position now. Livramento filling in, Longstaff filling in. Trippier's gone to the other side to help out, and they're just a little bit misshapen here as Saka comes forward. Out towards the near touchline, Trippier on to Martinelli. Martinelli goes round Longstaff, centres the ball, it's stopped by Botman, then there's a foul by Martinelli inside the box. It's going to be a free kick on Almiron, and it's back with Newcastle inside their own half. Newcastle's away form certainly room for improvement. It's bumped up recently with 2 back-to-back wins on the road, but overall, if you are a Newcastle fan, whether you're catching a train, getting a coach, getting a hotel or coming in the car, it's been pretty disappointing for Toon travellers. Only 6 teams have taken fewer points than Newcastle on the road in the Premier League.
Yeah, Yeah, it's not been good, and something which obviously Eddie Howe would look to try and sort out. It just goes to show the power of St James's Park, the atmosphere they create and generate. And when you're playing in front of your home fans, 55,000 people really cheering you on, it does make a big difference. You need to be stronger mentally away from home, but still, that's not good enough. Eddie Howe, talk about injuries, you need to be doing better than that on the road.
In the interest of balance, by the way, you know I like to have a little bit of a dive at the train service in this country because I use it so often and it hardly ever runs smoothly. But the LNER train due to depart London's King Cross at 9 o'clock did depart on time, I am informed.
Yeah, we must be balanced.
And it's always good to, you have to tell the truth, otherwise people won't believe you when you're slagging them off. LNER actually usually pretty good. The Avanti West Coast is an absolute nightmare. Here is Martinelli down the left-hand side, plays it into the centre, finds Gabriel, back to Jorginho into Gabriel, back again, and then the Italian clips the ball down the left channel, racing towards the corner flag is Kivior. He can't quite keep it in, he gets a little bump from Kieran Trippier, and it's out for a throw-in in the right full-back position. Arsenal have been pretty good traditionally at responding to European action. They are unbeaten in the last 20 Premier League games that have followed a midweek European fixture, and they lead here by 2-0 on a chilly night in North London.
No, I think they really wanted to bounce back after that performance as well, weren't they? Yeah, they would have travelled, and okay, what is it, 7.5 hours extra they've had, and they would have had a 12:30 kick-off, but they had a point to prove. It wasn't good.
Well, Newcastle may not be finished yet because they're attacking down that left-hand side. Eddie Howe is urging his team to get up alongside Anthony Gordon, who feeds Miley, gets it back on the left edge of the area. Gamares tries to give it back to him again, but it's well covered by Ben White. Excellent defending by him, and well won back actually initially by Botman. Longstaff then loses out to Kai Havertz, and then Kieran Trippier with a really good meaty tackle sliding across the greasy surface. Almiron scampers forward at pace, gets into a right wing position for Newcastle. 55 on the clock. Longstaff makes a forward dart into the box. It comes back to Gamares. Isaac gets towards the edge of the area, then plays it wide. It's just stretched the Paraguayan Almiron too far, but now Trippier's got a chance to cross here, and it's a deep one this time from Trippier, and unlike him to miss fire on delivery like that when he had time, and Gordon can't keep it in far side. It goes out and away for a throw. Eddie Howe saying keep them squeezed in.
Absolutely. Look, it wasn't the best of crosses from Trippier, and it was a poor touch from Gordon, but this is so much better from Newcastle in the second half. You can see exactly, it's come on, we need to step this up. Sometimes, we talked about it at half time with Faye about, you need to go a little bit longer, and it takes the pressure off the defence, having to try and beat the press, the Arsenal press that has been so good. But actually, you also just need to have a word with yourself and say, we need to be sharper here. So Arsenal were fantastic, but Newcastle have been much better in the second half.
Ball back towards Sven Botman. They were about as sharp as a pair of safety scissors in the first half, Newcastle. Here is Almiron attacking the goal away to our right. Longstaff helps it on to Trippier. Trippier moves up to the edge of the area, sends it infield and finds Bruno Guimaraes. Back out wide it goes to Trippier once again. Then into Longstaff. Longstaff back to Trippier. They're keeping the ball on the edge of the Arsenal box now, and it's all of a sudden Newcastle that are applying the pressure. They play it out wide to Almiron again. He's about 7 yards back from the right edge of the area. He goes centrally to Fabian Schär. Back wide to Trippier, looking to get room for a cross. He's waiting, giving it to Guimaraes. He then pokes it to Isaac. First time ball back to Lewis Miley. Wide it goes to Tino Livramento, and then all the way back to Botman, and Arsenal have dealt with that pressure pretty well so far. Still Newcastle have it. 57 on the clock now. Eventually they turn to go back to the goalkeeper because of the work from Arsenal. Forward it goes by Schär, in behind the defence, too close to David Raya, and not in the direction of Isaac this time, and it's an easy take from the Spaniard.
Yeah, brilliant from Arsenal without the ball, getting themselves in a 11 behind the ball. Come on, okay, you try and break us down. They weren't able to, went all the way back, and in the end just knocked a pretty long aimless ball. You just gave the ball to David Raya, and now they're on the attack again, Arsenal.
Well, Declan Rice said it, they would park the events of Wednesday night, move on from them. So far it appears that they have done that.
I don't think it's that difficult to do that, and I think they would have learnt a lesson now to play against Porto, who will try and play similar way in the second leg, and they're lucky they've got the second leg, obviously, Arsenal, but they have got it. As I say, they would have learnt lessons, and now, okay, let's show that we've got the reaction. If we want to be Premier League champions, if we want to go deep into the Champions League, which I believe they can, then we need to bounce back, and that's exactly what they've done.
Well, they're only 2 points off the top if it stays like this, with Liverpool 60 points from 26, the top scorers in the league. Manchester City 59 from 26, and Arsenal 58 from 26, the best defence in the league. Big fixtures to come over the next couple of weeks. Sheffield United away, Brentford at home, Porto at home, Chelsea at home, live on TalkSport. That's going to be a massive one, and so is the following match, the game against Manchester City away at the Etihad Stadium.
It's a massive one, isn't it? And if you look at City's fixtures, what a March they've got.
March Madness.
Oh, I'll tell you what, if they have a perfect March, then I'm sorry, I will be saying that's it. City will go on and win it, but very capable of dropping points with the Manchester United, Liverpool, Brighton, Arsenal. It's a heck of a month.
Ball up towards Isaac, headed away by Saliba, collected by Saka, who nudges it over the top of the Newcastle defence, but with too much, and it goes behind the way for a goal kick away to our left-hand side. So we're hitting the hour mark, and Arsenal have so far rode that early storm at the start of the second half, and it's still Arsenal 2, Newcastle now on TalkSport with Now. And don't forget that with Now you can stream the Carabao Cup final between Chelsea and Liverpool live tomorrow, contract free. With a Now membership, search Now Sports. We'll be building up to the Carabao Cup final tomorrow on TalkSport from 11 o'clock. In fact, probably be doing it from about 6 o'clock in the morning, but there'll be people on site at Wembley from 11 tomorrow at Box Park. Andy Oladipo, Liverpool, Rory Jennings, Chelsea, in Box Park, having a special Carabao Cup warm-up party. I'll be down there as well just before we go into the ground at 12 o'clock. Looking forward to that. And then we've got full commentary with Stuart Pearce and I from 3 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. Adrian has organised some very good interviews with the production staff for the build-up to that game. Looking forward to bringing that to you here on TalkSport tomorrow.
Can I say go on the Chelsea?
You can say what you like. We'll all be impartial, of course. Ball is on the right side. An hour into the game. 2-0. Well, Rory and Ade won't.
Definitely.
Ball cleared by Karius up towards the halfway line. Gordon back into Miley, stretching to reach it was Isaac. It's sent down the left, and then Botman almost got himself in a bit of a tangle. Livramento in the left full-back position finds his way to Miley, and Newcastle have got it back again. Dan Burn warming up down in front of us. Joe Willock, formerly of Arsenal, is warming up as well. Fabio Vieira back from his groin surgery, and Mo El Neni also here today, warming up, getting ready for the home team. Just wonder if there's been a little shift around for Newcastle in the last few minutes, with Isaac going wide out to the left, and he's chasing the ball now, gets hold of it, brings it down from the night sky, runs towards the edge of the penalty area, does a brilliant trick to get into the box, right-footed shot towards the far corner. What a goal that would have been. That was some touch out of the sky. It was some little movement inside the area. It was picked out perfectly by Bruno Guimaraes. He took the ball out of the sky brilliantly, cut back inside Ben White, then a lovely little move to get it onto his right foot, and then he sent the ball high towards the far corner and wasn't too far away.
Yeah, do you know what? I think David Raya had it covered, but it was a really good piece of play from Isaac, and it's, again, Newcastle so much better in the second half, and that's what he needs to try and do. Sometimes just get away from the centre half, pull out wide, which is what he's doing. As Newcastle look like they're about to make a couple of substitutions, we do have a contest on our hands.
Yeah, well, I think Alexander Isak is going to be taken off actually, and Almiron is going to be replaced by Harvey Barnes. Jacob Murphy also going to come on. They were initially going to take off Anthony Gordon, but it looks like he's going to stay on now and go through the middle. So we'll see what happens. Isaac over on the far side hasn't had much impact on the game apart from that effort that he had just moments ago. In fact, he's had a very good run. I mean, he's only just coming back from injury, but he's had a very good run. He has been completely missed in the last 3 matches with the groin injury. He had scored 5 in the previous 6, already equalled the number of goals he got last season. Here's the first substitution for Arsenal, and Martinelli is coming off, and on comes Leandro Trossard, who led the line in the game against Porto. That's the first confirmed change, and then Harvey Barnes and Jacob Murphy coming on. Jacob Murphy's 29th birthday today, which is quite sobering for me, because I covered him when he was in the youth team at Norwich. That must have been over 10 years ago now. He was in the youth team with his brother Josh and Colin Morris, who's now at Luton Town, and those 3 were a real handful going forward.
I bet they were. You kind of killed me talking about 30 years ago when I signed for Chelsea, so...
I just did a date, I didn't say it was 30 years ago. You would obviously added that up in your head.
It was 30 years ago.
Isaac's off. Almiron is off. Murphy and Barnes are on.
I'm not surprised about Isaac, to be honest with you. Obviously, weren't quite sure whether he'd be fit enough to start. I don't think he would have had a 90 minutes in him. It's a shame in a way, because he did look better playing out on the left-hand side, but as I say, I think that the important thing for Newcastle in the second half was just to try and show that there could be a good battle. And now it's kind of 50-50 of the second half. Now we need to try and find a way to try and get the next goal.
Oh, not giving the ball away to Havertz on the halfway line, as Botman has just done. It's surely got to be part of the recipe. Here the ball has been picked up by Rice, who's gone through the middle, played back to Havertz, then on to Saka. Right side gets the twist and the turn, and the left-footed shot towards the far corner. Oh, it's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful from Bukayo Saka. He twisted, he turned, he got it onto his left foot, and he arrowed the ball into the corner. Bukayo Saka takes the Olivier Award, the first man to score in 5 consecutive Premier League games for Arsenal since Giroud. Is England's Bukayo Saka. 3-0.
Well, a debate as to whether he's world class or not. I'm sure every single Arsenal fan will say absolutely, and just as Newcastle have kind of really showed that actually they're not out of this game. We talked about the importance of the next goal. Well, I don't see Newcastle coming back from this, I really don't. Saka shakes, go one down the outside, then he comes inside. And I think it's kind of Loris Karius is, because there's people in front of him, he's not seen it properly and he's not even dived. But it's a great strike. You don't allow him to come onto his left foot. It's as simple as that. Livramento, well, he hasn't done bad against him, certainly not in the second half, but again, you just have to show him down the outside on his left foot, opens up the goal. 3-0, game over.
Well, it was a beautiful finish from Saka. It was a good movement from him, and it was a constructed attack by Havertz and Rice changing positions, causing Newcastle to be outfoxed. But it was pathetic defending.
Well, it was, again, that one-on-one situation that you never really want against Saka, but you almost exaggerate it. It's been talked about, drop the ego, allow him to go down the outside even if he beats you, and then you get the defenders behind you in position. Whereas if he comes onto his left foot, not only is he on his strong foot, but the goal opens up. And then Cher was there as well trying to clear it, and it kind of comes off his shin, doesn't it?
What on earth was that? I mean, you're absolutely right. Do all those things, but if Tino Livramento fails to show him onto his left foot, the defenders that are queued up behind him to try and block it have then got to actually try and do that, not just stand there like statues. And then, I don't know what Cher was doing, but he looked like he was wafting his left foot of the ball. There's no chance of keeping that out if you're going to behave like that.
No, look.
It's really disappointing, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. But, I think Livramento will be saying, well, I need help here. And he got it a few times in the first half, and he didn't at a crucial time. And it just takes that one moment where Saka, again, it shows how good he is, that he just shapes to go down the outside, comes inside, and suddenly you're beaten. He needed someone then to come across and help him out and block the shot at source. And once he's got the shot off, Shares tried to come at the far post, and he just took a swipe at it, and as I say, it's come off his shin and into the goal.
It's gone through Botman's legs. Shares swiped it and missed it, and Karius hasn't dived.
Yeah, but apart from that...
Oh dear. How distraughting is that for Eddie Howe? After starting the second half actually quite well, then making the changes that you thought, hold on, we're gonna have a go for it here. A minute later, it's 3-0, and it could be worse because Trossard is escaping in behind down the left-hand side. He's overrun the ball slightly, and then by the time he gets there, Botman is trying to put out the fire. He plays it against it, it goes behind and away for a goal kick away to our left. 3-0.
Well, I'll tell you what now, for Arsenal, what a statement it would be after hitting 6 past West Ham, 5 past Burnley. If they're able to get another 4, 5, 6 here, that would really show they're in the title race and they have the bottle this season.
Arsenal 3, Newcastle 0 on TalkSport with Enterprise Rent a Car, whatever the mission, home or away. Enterprise helps over 120,000 people every day. Here is the corner, taken by Rice, in towards the near post, flicked away by Murphy. It will go out for a second successive corner. Arsenal leading by 3-0, live on TalkSport tonight. And it's been a good Arsenal performance, a good solid Arsenal performance in the game. Rice to take it. Erdogan has gone short. There's 4 or 5 to aim at in the centre. He hits it right-footed in towards the near post. The flick on, smuggled in. More celebrations. Jakob Kivior runs towards the near side to embrace Declan Rice. It's 4-0 to Arsenal. It's another set-piece goal, and Newcastle are folding like a pack of cards. It's 4-0.
It's an incredible performance from Arsenal. I'll tell you what, the first half, I'd certainly call it better than solid. Newcastle came back into it in the second half, but then bang, bang, 4-0, and I spoke about making a statement to the other two. No, this is not a bad Newcastle side. Yes, they've had their injuries, yes. There's certainly a few players who are not around who would rather be in the team, but again, Arsenal showing the havoc they can cause on set pieces. Can play the beautiful game in open play, very good with and without the ball, but they've also got the set pieces as well.
Well, it was a near post corner again. I mean, it's not the first time they've done that. They do that quite a lot. Jakob Kivior has got there ahead of everybody else. He's flicked it on. It's hit Lewis Miley on the chest. Karius couldn't keep it out. He's then pushed it behind him and into the net, and it's 4-0. And those Newcastle fans are wishing that they did go and get that train at 9 o'clock from King's Cross.
You know the scary thing as well, Sam, still 20 minutes to go.
Well, they scored 2 goals in 5 minutes in the first half. They scored 2 goals in 4 minutes and 35 seconds in the second half. And Eddie Howe is not a happy fella, and he's going to make a series of substitutions now. Dan Burn going to come on, Jamal Lascelles going to come on, Willock about to come on. They're trying to stem the flow of goals the other way. Barnes into the centre, trying to go on the attack. Miley wins it, left edge of the area, Livramento. I mean, how much of this is excellent work from Arsenal? Because look, they beat Palace 5, they beat 6 at Burnley, they've scored loads of goals against West Ham. You know, they can't all be rolling over like tabby cats and having their tummies tickled. They've got 4 here today. Ultimately, do we have to recognise that Arsenal are that good? Or is there a case that actually these teams, when they've met them at the wrong time, they've just crumbled?
No, Arsenal are that good, you have to say. You know, because these teams don't do it elsewhere. And the fact that Arsenal are doing it consistently right now just goes to show how much they grind teams down. They were superb in the first half. Again, with and without the ball. Didn't allow Newcastle any time on it to make passes, just to try and relieve a bit of pressure. And then when they go and attack, they look dangerous all the time. Yes, Newcastle came back into it at the start of the second half, but Arsenal go again. It just feels like they, you know, you do think, how good would they be with an actual natural goal scorer? And yet they still got lots of people who can score in different ways, and when you've got the amount of goals they can score from set pieces as well, it is quite scary.
Well, off comes Kieran Trippier, off comes Bruno Guimaraes. They're obviously protecting them, knowing that this game is done now, so they're saving them for later down the line. They've got a FA Cup side on Wednesday night against Blackburn. They've got Wolves, Chelsea, Palace, West Ham, Everton and Fulham to follow. So Joe Willock and Byrne and Lascelles all come on. There's 3 substitutes that have come on. And actually, Kieran Trippier is not coming off. He's just handing the armband over. Sven Botman is coming off as well. So Eddie Howe just being a bit of a pragmatist, really. Lots of changes.
Sad the game's done. Eddie Howe's definitely now looking to the FA Cup game at Blackburn, and what Newcastle don't want, which may have already happened, is face an embarrassment here at the Emirates, and they take a little bit of that into that game. I think the fans would have expected perhaps not to pick up a point here, but the FA Cup still massive for them.
Trippier towards the far post from a free kick, straight to the arms of David Raya, and then the referee has been hit by the clearance, which was aimed towards Leandro Trossard, and Trossard actually was on his own racing into opposition territory. There was no one back, so had it have gone past Paul Tierney, he was away and probably through into open grass, but Raya's kick wasn't very good.
No, I think the fact that it hit Paul Tierney shows that it probably wouldn't have made it to him, but wow, again, he was on though, wasn't he?
He was certainly on. Yeah, that Blackburn game is massive now on Wednesday night for Newcastle United. We've got Ewood Park. The game is live on TalkSport 2 actually on Wednesday night. Well worth tuning in for that. More changes for Arsenal, who are going to take off Martin Ødegaard and bring on Phil Smith-Rowe. Tuesday night at Blackburn Newcastle game. Sorry. It's the same night as Luton and Man City are on TalkSport 2. TalkSport is a very busy week actually. We've got live football for you Monday night, Tuesday night, Wednesday night. 2 games at the same time on TalkSport and TalkSport 2. Wednesday night, football for you from the FA Cup, including Chelsea versus Luton. Havertz is off, and on comes Nketiah. Nelson comes on as well, and Bukayo Saka has done his job for the night. So there are the changes: Saka, Ødegaard and Havertz, Nelson, Nketiah and Emil Smith-Rowe.
Well, we've seen both managers taking players off for pretty much the same reason. The game's done. So Eddie Howe definitely looking towards Tuesday now in the FA Cup. Newcastle fans can be certainly disappointed with how today's been, and it's been a mixed bag, hasn't it? You know, they've beaten Arsenal, they've beaten PSG, they've beaten Manchester United. They're still in the FA Cup, and yet it could go the other way as well, especially if they get knocked out on Tuesday. It's a massive game for them.
If you're a PR man, you'd say the only teams that have beaten them since the turn of the year are Arsenal, Manchester City and Liverpool.
You'd be a good PR man.
Here is Willock, who used to play here at Arsenal, played 78 games for them, and has been suffering with injury this season. They had an Achilles problem which brought him out of much of the campaign. He made such an impact when he first joined Newcastle United. Never really been able to replicate that. He did score a brilliant goal at Manchester United in the League Cup earlier in the season that I was at, and he's on the ball now, darting down the left-hand side, feeding Harvey Barnes, who's crossed into the box, eludes everyone, goes behind. It wasn't a bad effort from Harvey Barnes to swing that into the box. He, could have been right to expect a little bit more from Anthony Gordon to try and get on the end of that. It goes behind and away for a goal kick. You listen to TalkSport. We're live at the Emirates Stadium, and tomorrow Carabao Cup action, FA Cup action, Monday night with Maidstone on TalkSport 2, while the Premier League goes on Talk Sport, West Ham Brentford. Tuesday night, Wednesday night as well. So much live football for you. Tuesday night, by the way, got 3 games for you because England are taking on Italy in the Women's International Friendly. Joe Shannon is going to be there. Blackburn Newcastle is at 7:45. It follows after that one has finished. And Luton Man City, Chelsea Leeds, Forest against Manchester United, all live on Talk Sport. This week, this time next week, I would have been coming home from Huddersfield against Leeds in the Championship, which is live on TalkSport next Saturday lunchtime. Very much looking forward to that one. Ball is, especially after what I saw last night. How did Leeds win that game, by the way, last night? How did that actually happen?
I tell you what, it's some atmosphere up there, but they got outplayed, and it doesn't really matter at this point of the season, especially when you're chasing that automatic promotion place. Just get the win, and the run continues somehow.
Yeah, and by the way, it throws the cat amongst the pigeons in that division, by the way, and we'll bring you that game, Leeds against Huddersfield, from the John Smith Stadium on Saturday lunchtime. Here the ball is on the halfway with Newcastle licking their wounds. They've got to go again on Tuesday. Arsenal lead by 4-0. They have come back from 4-0 down against Arsenal before. Finished 4-4. The late Czech Tiote scored the final goal in what was a thrilling afternoon at the St James's Park.
You'd get good odds for that.
You definitely would. In fact, the latest odds are available on Betfair, and the official betting partner of TalkSport's Premier League coverage right now are offering you 5-4 for it to stay 4-0. If you think it finishes 4-1, 5-1. If you think it'll be 5-0, it's 5-2. And don't forget, Betfair are paying out on winning bets at 90 minutes with 90-minute payout. Applies to match odds 90 market or markets with the 90 icon. Thanks also to Betfair 18+ begambleaware.org.
And whatever you want for 4-4?
Yeah, I think I'm right in saying that Faye Carruthers requires a goal for Newcastle to win her charity bet. Just a goal for Newcastle to win a charity bet, I think. Because it was both teams to score, Arsenal to win and Saka to score any time, yes? Right, so you just need she's actually just gone and got a black and white shirt actually and put it on to try and cheer them on, just for the charity money between now and the end. Well, they've got 10 minutes to get one. You never know, Arsenal might go to sleep at the back. There's every chance. Well, actually, not really. They've had one shot on goal in the whole game, Newcastle. 4-0 the score.
Do you know what? They've been a lot better in the second half, Newcastle, and that sort of bang, 3-0 and 4-0 has certainly crushed them. But it's all about Arsenal.
Here's Will Smith-Rowe trying to add to that, getting the ball inside the area, trying to bend the shot towards the far corner, blocked by Marley, and smuggled away towards the near touchline. Haven't had much action in the last 5 minutes or so. It's been pretty sedate in the middle of the park, and Newcastle just chasing a few shadows, but Arsenal put the pressure on again down the left-hand side. They're going to throw the ball in from the left corner flag into Gabriel. Gabriel back to Saliba, and then all the way back to David Raya, who's in the midpoint of the Arsenal half. He smashes it through the middle of the pitch. Jamal Lascelles heads it away. Won by Miley. Willett tries to hold on to it. Rice wins it back. There was a bit of tugging back going on, so a free kick is given to Newcastle short of the centre circle. So what happens here then? You know, you look back at Arsenal, they spent 248 days on top of the table last year. They didn't win the league, but they did that with the second youngest average 11 in the league last campaign. Have you seen signs of them growing up this season?
Yes, I mean they were superb last season, weren't they? But they hadn't been there in the sort of squeaky bum time. I do think they would have learnt a lot from that. I think the addition of Declan Rice, I think, has been superb. I think, look, over £100 million, and we've seen just in West London how much that Enzo Fernandez and particularly Moises Caicedo has struggled to live up to that type of tag. He has been sensational in that position. He's helped taken them to another level. But the bottom line is, Sam, we still won't know. You know, until we get to the last 6-7 games of the season, if they are, you know, within touching distance of the top teams, or maybe even in first place. You can say you've learned from it and you're able to deal with it, but you don't know until you're in that situation again. All they can do right now is put themselves in that position, and on the way try and make little statements. They've certainly been doing that after, 3 losses in all competitions. The way they've beaten Liverpool, the way they've beaten West Ham, Burnley, and now Newcastle. They've not just won, they've absolutely dominated those games, and they fully deserve to beat Liverpool. It's been a great statement, a massive statement. And if you're neutral, you want as many teams going for the Premier League as possible. Very, very much a three-horse race.
Oh, at this moment in time, it certainly looks like that, with Newcastle getting defeated here by 4-0. Bournemouth being defeated by Manchester City earlier, and in midweek, Luton being beaten by Liverpool by 4-1. The most emphatic statements have been made by the ones that don't have Haaland and Kevin De Bruyne in their teams. And I've seen Manchester City twice this week win by a goal to nil.
That in itself is scary though, isn't it? The fact that they're not really playing to how well we know they can, and yet still finding a way to win games. And we talk about their march, I think that would be absolutely crucial.
Arsenal just cruising through at this moment in time, keeping possession on the halfway line. Jorginho with his back to goal, sends it to Gabriel. He looks up and tries to funnel it down the touchline into Trossard, who chests it, collects it, turns, runs into 3 Newcastle jerseys, still emerges with the ball before Jacob Murphy puts it behind, and it goes out for a throw on this near side, midway inside Newcastle territory. Thrown into Trossard again, full of beans, running along the 18-yard line, looking to make his own impact in this game. It's Jorginho, intelligent pass forward towards Nelson. Nelson back to Jorginho again, 7 minutes to play. 4-0 the score in Arsenal's favour against Newcastle United. Ben White just dawdling slightly, lost the ball to Barnes, but it's very quickly won back. Newcastle then grab it again, and they have it over on the far side in the left full-back position. And looking at Newcastle, they've conceded now 31 goals since December the 7th, which was when Nick Pope got injured. Come back to that in just a second, because Gordon's just threatening to escape down the left-hand side. He's fed Dan Burn, who's clipped the ball in towards the near post, and the header is into the back of the net by Joe Willock, who dives in and flicks it into the air, and it goes over the top of a stranded David Raya and into the net, and it's a consolation goal for those hardy travellers from the northeast. And Joe Willock, who started his professional career at Arsenal, has a goal against them for Newcastle.
Well, I'm pleased with the Newcastle fans that they made all this trip down. They're still not quite sure how they're going to get home or whether they're staying in London overnight, but just to have a little bit of cheer. Dan Burn, fair play to him, he's come on. Sometimes takes a little bit of time to get used to the pace of the game, but he's made a marauding run down the left. The ball was played to him. Lovely cross. Joe Willock bent down and almost just flicked it to the far post. David Raya, but no chance on that one. Maybe he should have saved the one midweek, but no chance on that one at all. But the game's done and dusted, but I think Arsenal will be disappointed they haven't kept a clean sheet. Newcastle, well, at least they've scored a goal.
No Callum Wilson tonight. Isaac coming back from injury. There are mitigating circumstances. Obviously, Sandro Tonali has been out for the whole of the season. They've had their injury problems over the course of the campaign, Newcastle. But and Willock has been one of those. Robbed him of a place in the squad for a lot of the season. But you never know, the fight back might be on here, because they want another one, and Burn is steaming up at the inside left channel as the ball is played into Barnes, and Burn tries to keep it alive, can't do so this time, and it runs behind the way for a goal kick.
I know somebody else who isn't a Newcastle fan that's very happy with that goal as well.
Carruthers. She's just won 200, I think it was 236 or 238 pounds for the Bobby Moore Fund. I mean, I'm saying that. I mean, we're not at 90 minutes yet. If they were to score 3 times before then, that would be a problem. But at least with injury time, Betfair will pay out on the 90-minute mark.
I'll give you whatever odds you want, sir.
Well, it's good for Joe Willock, and it's good for those Newcastle fans to have a goal to cheer. They were all stuck around, by the way, after coming down to watch their team. 3,000 in the bottom tier of the corner of the clock end in the stand opposite us. And it's a goal kick away to our right-hand side, which David Raya will take. He'll be disappointed that he hasn't kept a clean sheet. It's just 11 in 27 appearances now for the Arsenal. He was criticised, actually, for the goal in midweek. I don't know what you thought about that. I think it might be a little bit harsh, that.
Well, yes, and I'm sort of the goalkeeping position. You'll have the goalkeepers union saying, "Oh, what does he know? He's an outfield player." The bottom line, I think, should a goalkeeper be beaten from that distance? And I saw Petr Cech talking about how he normally always try to get a little bit further forward, but then you get a little bit less reaction time Just wonder whether he could have moved his feet a little bit quicker and read it. It was a great shot, don't get me wrong, but it could prove to be a very important goal, and I'd be disappointed. But I also think, and I'm wax lyrical about Declan Rice, that he should have been tighter. He shouldn't have allowed that shot to come in.
2.5 minutes to go here. 4-1 the score. Another thrilling evening of Premier League football. Another thrilling evening of goal scoring. I mean, I was worried at one stage this afternoon when I just kept looking at my score sheet while I was coming down, listening to the game on TalkSport 2. There was lots of 0-0 everywhere. That slightly changed very quickly. 3 goals for Crystal Palace. Oliver Glasner having a good debut. 5 goals here. 6 goals at Villa Park. 2 down at the Amex earlier on today. Here comes Jorginho off for a standing ovation to be replaced by Elneny.
Yeah, he's been brilliant, hasn't he? It's been the one change from the midweek game, and you know what? I kind of really appreciate, again, I talked about how he was a bit like Marmite when he was at Chelsea, but I do appreciate what he can give. Yes, he's not the most athletic, he's not the quickest, but he's very good on the ball and in tight situations, and when the pressure's really on and perhaps the fans are on top of you a little bit, he's always wanting the ball.
He's a one-touch distributor as well, isn't he?
Absolutely.
And that sometimes can be more effective than being the athlete that gets up and down and being, speedy across the ground. There's a big collision over on the far side as the ball played down the right-hand side. A clash of heads. Both players now getting to their feet. Physios are on to deal with the situation. And there'll be a delay. Yeah, because you can move the ball so quickly, it allows you to move it through the thirds at pace and at a tempo which unsettles the opposition. We've seen some of that today.
Yeah, and also allows Declan Rice to play a little bit further forward, and as a number 8 and real sort of box to box, he can help out Jorginho defensively, but he can also get forward as well and help start the press, along with Martin Odegaard, who is all about the talent, but I've been very impressed with the work he's done off the ball as well.
It's 4-1 to Arsenal on what has been a brilliant display by them. Superb. There will be an inquest about the Newcastle display, why they started so badly, how they conceded 2 goals from set pieces again today. They've conceded a couple of goals actually from set pieces, which has been disappointing. They struggled against Luton, didn't they, as well?
They're such a big side as well, aren't they?
Yeah, it sort of baffles you really, doesn't it?
I know Dan Burn hasn't been on the pitch for long, but it wasn't for those goals there, but they're still a big enough side. But you have to say, the Arsenal stats in terms of set pieces are there for a reason.
Yeah, absolutely. But if you're going through it, you're picking through it with a fine tooth comb. It's 5 minutes of added time. I mean, you do hope that people don't overreact to the Eddie Howe situation, because you almost get the feeling that there's a group of people that want him to fail in a sense. He's a very good English coach. He performed a miracle in 21-22. No team in Premier League history had survived after failing to win their first 14 games of the season. They finished in the top 10, or I think they finished 11th that season. He did a fantastic job. He got them to Champions League last season. They almost ran before they could walk, really, under him. They've got to be a little bit careful about how they handle the situation.
Sam, I will choose my words carefully, but you've got to be someone who doesn't quite understand football to be on top of Eddie Howe and see the job that he's done. And it's not as if the owners are able to spend their money however they want. The FFP, PSR just not allowing them to do that. It's just sensational. Of course he'd want to go again. And maybe they had the chance to maybe do something in January, but they would have had to have sold to buy it. And they decided to stick with what they've got. It's a gamble every time you bring a player in, no matter how good he is. You're never quite sure how they're going to do. But what Eddie Howe has done, I think, has been absolutely sensational. And anybody criticising him, especially with the fact that they're not able to throw lots of money at it, I think, as I say, just doesn't understand football.
And we go back to what we said about PSG situation earlier in the season, the Champions League. If that decision hadn't have gone against them in the Parc de France, and I was there that night, then they would still be in the Champions League now. Ball sent forward down the left-hand side, looking for Trossard. It's cut out by Karius. He brings it clear. the game has sort of petered out really, and the fans have started to dribble out because they know that the 3 points are secure. But there might be more goals in it for Reece Nelson, who's escaped here on the right-hand side. And Nketiah at the back edge of the penalty area wants the ball. He's going to fall to Trossard instead. Emil Smith-Rowe with an effort saved by Karius. Comes back out towards Trossard near side, and then it's put behind and away by Murphy, and it's another corner for Arsenal. What a chance for Smith-Rowe.
Brilliant chance, and again, as a substitute, all you want to try and do is come on and make an impact. It's actually cleared off the line, isn't it? Dan Burn.
Yeah, might well have missed Karius actually. Going to be a first defeat for Newcastle in 6, but yet another forlorn away performance to be witnessed by their travelling army of supporters. Here's Emil Smith-Rowe in the left corner, feeds it back to Rice edge of the area. Nelson wants to shoot, he does down low to Karius' right, he makes a save and will clear it away. This Arsenal team have beaten Manchester City, they've beaten Liverpool, they've blitzed West Ham, they've blitzed Burnley, they've blitzed Newcastle here this season. They are doing it consistently, they are doing it in big games. They had that little wobble in December when the games came thick and fast. They dropped points here to West Ham United, dropped points up at Liverpool, but they've come roaring back, and 2024 has been pretty impressive. They're heading up to 58 points. Newcastle will stay 8th, 10 points behind 5th place Spurs. And there's still 90 seconds to play. Eddie Nketiah racing down the right side, tussling with Fabian Schär. Schär comes away with the ball and moves up towards halfway, then tries to feed Anthony Gordon, who's asked to go on a lung-bursting run. And Saliba gets it back to David Raya, and Arsenal play their way out of the back. We'll have the interviews, by the way, straight after the game. We're on air till 10:30 tonight, I think. Faye, is that right? And we will try our best to get the managers for you before then. Not that I've got a clue what time it is now. Here's Emil Smith-Rowe down the left-hand side, dancing towards the edge of the area. He brushes aside one challenge, cuts the ball back into the area looking for Trossard. He tries to send it back to Nelson. It bounces off of Willock, who comes back to try and huff out the attack. Nelson sends it wide towards the right-hand side, and then White looks up, delivers a cross into the box, and then it's headed towards goal by Smith-Rowe, but it's well off target.
Yeah, and you know what? Let's get the cliche of there's no easy games in the Premier League out the way. The next couple, Sheffield United away, Brentford at home, before they then face Porto again, Chelsea and Manchester City. They've just got to look to the next game, but you would think that they'll win the next two, and then suddenly you are getting into squeaky bum time. A game against City, my goodness me, how big is that?
What a match. What a match. And of course, all the best coverage here on Talk Sport. 95 minutes have almost been played now. Arsenal about to complete a victory. There is the full-time whistle. Arsenal start 2024 with 6 of the best. It's been another electrifying evening at the Emirates. It's the first time they've started a calendar year with 6 consecutive Premier League wins, and it is a victory that closes the gap to Liverpool to just 2 points and the gap to City to just 1. It's a title race that is closer than 2 coats of paint. Newcastle suffered their first defeat since their loss at City, but at least they got on the score sheet here for the first time in 9.5 years. But it was very little consolation for what was an emphatic Arsenal victory, worthy of a place Saturday night prime time. Arsenal 4, Newcastle 1.